Have you ever just looked up at the night sky and felt small? It's a feeling that seems so modern, doesn't it? Like something only science could show us. But what if I told you that this perspective, this powerful sense of our own cosmic insignificance, is actually one of the most ancient human experiences we have?
Okay, let's dive right in. So back in 1990, the Voyager 1 spacecraft was way out on the edge of our solar system. And at the suggestion of the legendary astronomer Carl Sagan, it turned its camera around for one last look. It took this family portrait from 6.4 billion kilometers away. And there we are, a single pixel, a pale blue dot. So what did this crazy, unprecedented look back at ourselves actually teach us?
You see, Sagan wanted this picture not for some big scientific discovery, but for its philosophical power. He just knew that seeing our entire world from that far away, caught in a random sunbeam, would totally reframe how we see ourselves. He called it a mote of dust suspended in a sunbeam. I mean, wow. He famously said, "Look again at that dot. That's here. That's home. That's us." And he went on to say that on that tiny dot, everyone you love, everyone you know, everyone you've ever heard of, every single human being who ever lived out their lives right there. It's just such a powerful thought. The entire story of humanity, all of it, contained in a single, almost invisible point of light.
Okay, so let's get into the specifics for a second. To get this shot, Voyager was an insane 6.4 billion kilometers away. That's 4 billion miles. It was looking down on our solar system from a high angle. And get this, from that far out, the Earth was so tiny, it took up just over 1/10 of a single pixel. Not even a whole pixel. It's a technical marvel for sure, but the numbers themselves are almost impossible to really feel.
So how do you even begin to wrap your mind around a number like that? The honest answer, you can't. Our brains just aren't wired for it. So we have to use analogies to even get close. But as you're about to see, even those can be really, really tricky. All right, let's try one on for size. This is based on a popular attempt from a Reddit post. So if you imagine the Earth is just a single grain of sand, in this scenario, our whole solar system would be about the size of a large dinner plate. Our Milky Way galaxy, that would stretch across North America. And the entire observable universe, well, that would be about the size of our planet Earth. Sounds huge, right?
Well, not so fast. As other Redditors were very quick to point out, that analogy, while it's a nice try, is way, way off. It dramatically understates just how big everything really is. The reality is, well, it's far more extreme. So let's try this again, but with a more accurate scale. And this is where things get truly mind-bending. If Earth is that same grain of sand, the solar system isn't a dinner plate. No, it's the size of an entire city. The Milky Way isn't North America. It's as big as the orbit of Mercury. And the observable universe, hold on to your hats for this one, it would be as vast as the real-life distance between our sun and the next closest star. I mean, just think about that. It's a completely different level of emptiness. And look, these aren't just wild guesses we're pulling out of thin air. Astronomers have this brilliant system called the Cosmic Distance Ladder. It's so clever. They start by directly measuring nearby stars using something called parallax. Then, for things further away, they use what are called standard candles, like certain types of supernovae that always have the same brightness. And for the really, really distant galaxies, they measure how much their light has been stretched by the expansion of the universe itself. Each step on the ladder lets them see further and further out. But, hearing about this scale, it often leads to a pretty specific feeling, doesn't it? This sense of being tiny, irrelevant even. Carl Sagan himself called it a kind of wound to human pride. And that brings us to a really crucial question. Is this feeling, this cosmic smallness, is it actually a modern invention? Something that only science could deliver to us? Is this a feeling our ancestors just never could have possibly imagined?
Yeah, Sagan saw it as a series of great demotions. First we find out we're not the center of the solar system. Ouch. Then we learn our sun is just an average, boring star. Double ouch. And finally, we realize our galaxy is just one of billions upon billions. It's like each discovery was another humbling blow to our collective ego. This all feeds into what the philosopher Jim Slagle calls the big fish in a small pond myth. It's this super common idea that people way back when felt all important and special because they thought they lived in this cozy little universe made just for them. But what if that's totally wrong? The history tells a very, very different story.
This is what's so fascinating. If you actually look back into the past, you find something amazing. It turns out this feeling of being a tiny speck in a huge, vast arena, it isn't a modern discovery at all. It's actually an ancient one. And this slide just illustrates the point perfectly. On the left, you've got Carl Sagan in 1994, humbled by that point of pale light. And on the right, the Roman philosopher Boethius, writing almost 1,500 years earlier. He says that compared to the heavens, our whole Earth is just a point, that it has no size at all. I mean, come on, the sentiment is basically identical.
And this wasn't some fringe idea, you guys. This was the scientific mainstream for centuries. Aristotle, he argued the Earth was of no great size. Ptolemy, the guy whose model of the universe was the standard for over 1,500 years, he flat out said that for doing the math, you should just treat the Earth as a point. In fact, in his system, Earth was actually one of the smallest things out there, smaller than the sun and several of the planets.
So if they already felt physically insignificant, why weren't they having a massive existential crisis? Well, for these thinkers, human value just wasn't tied to our physical size or our address in the cosmos. Their sense of worth came from philosophy and theology, ideas like being created in the image of God. Their value was completely independent of their cosmic real estate. For them, the ginormous universe didn't challenge their worldview, it actually reinforced it. It just showed how great its creator must be.
Okay, so this brings us right back to the beginning. Knowing that this feeling of smallness isn't some new modern wound, but a timeless human experience, that changes how we look at that dot, right? It connects us to this long, unbroken line of people who stared up at the same dark sky and asked the exact same questions we do.
So let's look at it again. This isn't just a picture of our planet anymore. It's a picture of a shared human feeling, one that stretches back for thousands of years. It's not a demotion. It's our constant, unchanging context. Our planet, as Sagan said, is just a lonely speck in the great enveloping cosmic dark. And this is where Sagan's whole argument lands. The point of this perspective isn't to make us feel worthless or hopeless. Not at all. For him, seeing how tiny and fragile our world is, that wasn't a reason for despair. It was a call to action. It was a profound reason to be better, to be kinder, and to take care of this place, the only home we've ever known. So here's the bottom line. The crucial point is this. The vastness of space doesn't diminish us. It does the opposite. It highlights just how precious our shared home is, and how tied together our destiny really is. It basically erases the borders you see on a map and reminds us of one simple, undeniable fact. We are all in this together, on this one tiny, fragile world. The vastness doesn't make us insignificant. It makes this one home we have infinitely precious. So I'll leave you with this. Knowing that this feeling isn't a modern wound, but a timeless human perspective that we share with our ancestors. What does that change for you?